Hello, friends. Have you ever thought about how small changes can transform your life? In today's video, we will discuss a book that shows you how small habits can create big changes. I'm talking about the famous book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, which has become a favorite for millions of people around the world. This book teaches us that achieving big goals doesn't require a grand beginning. Real change happens through small and consistent habits. Whether you are aiming to improve your health, advance your career, or make your personal life better, this book has something for everyone. In this video, I'll be explaining the key lessons of this book in simple Hindi. You'll learn how to build good habits and how to break free from bad ones. We'll explore why small habits form the foundation of great success and the methods that help you stick to your habits for the long term. So if you too want to bring positive changes to your life and want to upgrade your daily routine, make sure to watch this video till the very end. Let's begin this wonderful journey of atomic habits and take the first step toward a better and more successful life. The surprising power of atomic habits. Just think for a moment about the tasks you do every day. Now consider why you do those tasks, and what would happen if you didn't. Most of us have the habit of brushing our teeth every morning. If you skip brushing for 2 days, you'll start to notice a bad smell and discomfort. In other words, brushing gives you a reward that you seek to earn daily. To prove this, some psychologists conducted an experiment on a monkey. They locked the monkey inside a cage and placed a lever and a computer screen in front of him. When red lines appeared on the computer screen and the monkey pulled the lever, he was rewarded with fruit. Over time, the monkey learned the pattern and began watching the screen attentively. As soon as he saw the red lines, he would pull the lever and receive the fruit. In this way, the monkey repeated the action again and again to get the reward. To perform any action, we need a trigger, something that signals us it's time to act. For example, some people consume alcohol when they feel stressed. Their stress becomes the cue that reminds them to drink. After this, the reward reinforces the habit. We keep repeating the same behavior to get the reward again. When someone finds relief after drinking alcohol, their brain connects stress with the solution of drinking. In this way, almost all habits follow a similar pattern. There are certain bad habits that provide temporary pleasure or comfort. Even though they are harmful in the long run, we continue doing them just for the reward they offer. We find it hard to resist. Now, can you believe that even small changes can create incredible miracles in your life? Let me share a story with you that proves this point. In 2003, the entire fate of British cycling turned around. Since 1908, British cyclists had managed to win only one Olympic gold medal. In more than 110 years, no British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. Their performance was so poor that major bike manufacturers hesitated to sell bikes to them, fearing damage to their reputation. But all of this changed when the British cycling governing body appointed Dave Brailsford. Dave's approach was entirely different from other coaches. His strategy was to seek improvement in every small detail. This is known as the aggregation of marginal gains. Dave made tiny changes like redesigning bike seats for greater comfort, having riders wear electrically heated shorts to maintain ideal muscle temperature, and rubbing tires with alcohol to improve grip. These small improvements combined to produce a massive impact. The British team ended up winning gold medals at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. Now think about it. How did such massive success come from such small changes? Actually, our habits operate the same way. Most of the time, we ignore a 1% improvement. But if you improve by just 1% every single day, you can become 27 times better in a year. Habits are like the compound interest of self-improvement. At first, the changes are barely noticeable, but with time, they become huge. However, the same principle applies to bad habits too. Imagine you eat an unhealthy meal today. It won't cause immediate weight gain, but if that habit repeats daily, you'll see harmful effects over the long run. That's why your daily habits decide whether you're moving in the right direction or not. And this is the most crucial message of Atomic Habits. Small habits lay the groundwork for massive success. How habits shape your identity. Have you ever wondered why bad habits are so hard to break? And why building good habits is just as tough? We start with good intentions, but often fail. There are two main reasons behind this. We try to change the wrong things. Our method isn't correct. Most people, when they try to change, focus only on what they want to achieve. This is called outcome-based habits. But real transformation happens when you focus on identity-based habits. That is, focus on who you want to become. Imagine two people who both want to quit smoking. When the first person is offered a cigarette, he responds, "No, thank you. I am trying to quit smoking." On hearing it, it sounds perfectly fine. But if you look deeper, the thinking behind this is that he still sees himself as a smoker who is attempting to quit. Now, when the second person is offered a cigarette, he simply says, "No, thank you. I do not smoke." There's a subtle but powerful difference between these two answers, and that small difference transforms their identity. For the first person, change is seen as a temporary effort, but the second person already sees himself as a new version of himself. Most people, when they set out to improve their lives, don't focus on changing their identity. But the truth is, what you are proud of motivates you the most to build new habits. Therefore, you must first decide who you want to become. Once you make that decision, start by making small changes in your habits to continuously prove your new identity. Remember, every time you adopt a good habit, you move one step closer to that new version of yourself. And every time you leave behind a bad habit, you step away from your old self. Small changes are the starting point of massive transformations. So ask yourself today, who do you want to become? And take that first step. How to build better habits in simple steps. Back in the 1800s, a famous psychologist, Edward Thorndike, conducted an experiment to understand how habits are formed and how they influence behavior. Thorndike was particularly interested in animal behavior. So he carried out an experiment involving cats. He placed the cats inside a puzzle box with a door that could only be opened if the cat pressed a lever or pulled a cord. Initially, the cats struggled a lot to get out. They scratched around, sniffed corners, and tried random actions. But after several attempts, they realized that pressing the lever would open the door. With repeated practice, their behavior became more refined and quicker. From this, Thorndike concluded a principle. Behaviors followed by satisfying outcomes tend to be repeated, while those with unfavorable results are left behind. This rule applies to how we form habits too. The habit-building process can be broken down into 4 simple steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Cue. It's the trigger that signals your brain to initiate a behavior. Craving. It's the desire or motivational force that pushes you toward the reward. Response. It's the action you take to satisfy the craving. Reward. It's the ultimate goal, the satisfaction and learning that follows the action. If any of these 4 steps are weak, the habit struggles to take root. The man who didn't look right. Let me share the story of a paramedic woman who ended up saving her father-in-law's life. During a family gathering, she noticed that he wasn't feeling well. Acting quickly, she suggested he be taken to the hospital. There, it was discovered he had a major blockage, and timely treatment saved his life. This story shows us how our brain functions like a prediction machine. It picks up subtle signs and recognizes patterns. Paramedics, through constant practice, develop the ability to sense the early signs of heart attacks. Similarly, when you practice regularly, your brain begins to pick up on cues that predict outcomes. Pay close attention to your current habits. Before jumping into adopting new habits, it's crucial to analyze your old ones. This can be tough because old habits often feel automatic. Start by making a list of your daily activities. Review each one and ask yourself, Is this habit good, bad, or neutral? At this stage, there's no need to change anything. Just observe and accept what you do. Avoid blaming yourself for bad habits or boasting about good ones. Behavior change always begins with awareness. When you clearly recognize your habits, you're ready to improve them. Start small, but stay consistent. These small actions will eventually shape your future. The best way to start a new habit. Have you ever asked yourself why it's so difficult to build a new habit? Let's answer this with the help of an interesting study. In 2001, researchers in Great Britain conducted a study on 248 people to understand how to develop better exercise habits. Participants were divided into 3 groups. The first group was the control group. They were simply asked to track how many times they exercised. The second group was the motivation group. Along with tracking exercise, they were given motivational materials, including information on how exercise reduces heart disease risk and improves overall heart health. The third group was the planning group. They received the same motivational information as the second group, but they were also asked to write a clear plan, stating exactly when and where they would exercise. They had to write something like, "Next week, I will exercise for at least 20 minutes on day, at time, at place." In the first 2 groups, about 35 to 38% of participants managed to work out at least once a week. But in the third group, the planning group, a remarkable 91% of participants worked out at least once a week. The key difference? The third group had a clear and detailed plan. Researchers call this strategy implementation intentions. It's a plan that specifies exactly when and where you will act. Many people think they lack motivation to build a new habit. But the truth is, they are not clear enough about their goals. It's often unclear when and where to take action. That's why the first rule of behavior change is, make it obvious. When you create clear signals for your habits and design a specific plan, you dramatically increase your chances of success. So, if you want to build a new habit, start by making it crystal clear and practical. Always know in advance when and where you will act. This simple method is far more effective than relying on motivation alone. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. Have you ever noticed that your habits don't just depend on your intentions or motivation, but also heavily on your environment? Let's look at an interesting story that proves this. At the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston, a primary care physician, Dr. Ann Thorndike, came up with an idea that seemed almost too simple. She believed she could change the eating habits of hospital staff and visitors without giving motivational speeches or offering discounts. Along with her team, she launched a 6-month study focusing on altering the choice architecture. The first change she made was in the cafeteria's drink layout. Previously, the refrigerators near the cash registers only stocked soda. Dr. Thorndike added water bottles alongside the sodas and made water easily available at various food stations around the room. Interestingly, soda remained available. Nothing was banned, but water became more visible and accessible. The results? Within just 3 months, soda sales dropped by 11.4%, while water sales increased by 25.8%. When she applied the same principle to food choices, similar results followed, and hardly anyone noticed the changes consciously. This experiment reveals a powerful truth. We tend to consume what's placed right in front of us, whether we actually need it or not. For example, if you walk into a kitchen and see a plate of cookies, you might start eating even if you aren't hungry, simply because they're visible. Habits often work the same way. They are deeply tied to your environment and the cues you encounter. No matter how strong your willpower is, your surroundings subtly shape your actions. Unfortunately, most environments are not designed to encourage good habits. They often block them by not providing the right triggers. If you want to adopt new, positive habits, design your environment so that helpful cues are everywhere around you. Fill your space with reminders of the behavior you want to cultivate. Remember, Motivation can start you off, but a supportive environment guarantees your success. How to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible. Let's go back to the summer of 1830. Victor Hugo, the famous French writer, was stuck facing a tough deadline. A year earlier, he had promised his publisher he would deliver a new book, but instead, he spent the year on other projects. When the publisher realized this, he was furious and issued Hugo a new, much stricter deadline. Finish the book by February 1831, no excuses. Hugo had just 6 months left. Faced with the pressure, Hugo came up with a creative solution. He gave all his clothes to his assistant and instructed him to lock them away. Now, with nothing to wear, Hugo was forced to stay home and write. He spent the entire fall and winter working diligently with no distractions. The result? His famous novel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, was published 2 weeks early, on January 14, 1831. What can we learn from this? The key to adopting good habits isn't just making them easy, it's making bad habits hard to access. If you want good habits to stick, design an environment that makes them obvious and effortless. If you want to break bad habits, create barriers that make them difficult to perform. Good habits thrive when they are easy and accessible. Bad habits die when they are made inconvenient and hard. Next time you're facing a deadline or trying to change a habit, remember Victor Hugo's method. Change your circumstances, and you can change your destiny. How to stick with good habits every day. Want to know the simplest, most effective way to stick with your habits daily? Let's learn from an inspiring real-life example. When Benjamin Franklin was in his 20s, he carried a small booklet everywhere he went. Inside this booklet, he had listed 13 personal virtues, habits and behaviors he wanted to develop. One of those virtues was, lose no time. Always be engaged in something useful. At the end of each day, Franklin would open his booklet and review his performance. He would check which virtues he practiced and which ones needed more attention. In a way, he created his own habit tracker, a simple but powerful system. Why is habit tracking so effective? It makes habits clear and obvious. Every time you open your list, your goals are right in front of you. You stay focused on what matters. It makes habits fun and satisfying. Tracking your progress feels good. Each time you tick off a habit, your brain gets a small reward. Progress becomes its own form of motivation. It makes habits more rewarding. When you see yourself improving, you feel good, and that good feeling encourages you to continue. If you want to make your good habits stick, start tracking them. You can use a simple notebook, an app, or even a basic chart. What matters is that you list your habits and track your progress daily. Record your efforts every day. Focus on small improvements and enjoy the process. Habit tracking not only helps you reach your goals, it also makes your journey satisfying and fun. The cardinal rule of behavior change. Whenever an experience feels satisfying, we are likely to repeat that behavior. It's simple logic. Even the smallest moment of happiness sends a signal to the mind. This is good. Do it again. Take a simple example, chewing gum. At first, chewing gums were just tasteless, rubbery raisins. They had no flavor at all. But in 1851, flavors were added, and that's when chewing gum became popular. Because when something isn't enjoyable, we don't want to repeat it. The cardinal rule is clear. Behaviors that feel rewarding are repeated. Behaviors that feel punishing are avoided. But there's a twist. Humans don't just seek satisfaction. We seek immediate satisfaction. All habits offer different outcomes over time, and those outcomes are often complicated. Bad habits usually feel good in the moment, but harm us in the long run. Good habits often feel difficult at first, but reward us with long-term benefits. Immediate rewards pull us toward instant pleasure. That's why so many people waste time chasing short-term satisfaction, even when it hurts them later. The truth is, when it comes to behavior change, immediate reward wins. If you want to break a bad habit, you have to make it unsatisfying. If you want to build a good habit, you have to make it satisfying and enjoyable. Change is hard until it becomes fun. So, when you work on improving your habits, make good habits rewarding and bad habits uncomfortable. The big lesson from Atomic Habits. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, teaches us an important truth. Real change doesn't come from huge decisions or heroic efforts. It comes from small habits. Small habits, repeated over time, shape the direction of your life. Even trying to get 1% better every day can lead to massive results over time. Identity plays a big role too. If you want to change, start by changing how you see yourself. Connect your new habits to your identity. Start seeing yourself as the person you want to become. The 4 laws for building good habits and breaking bad ones. Make it obvious. Clarity. Make it attractive. Attraction. Make it easy. Simplicity. Make it satisfying. Satisfaction. Design your environment carefully. A good environment makes good habits inevitable. Think long-term. Good habits bring lasting rewards. Bad habits bring temporary pleasure, but lasting damage. Atomic Habits is not just a book. It's a guide to lasting change. It reminds us that success isn't built on big dreams. It's built on small actions, taken daily. Focus on your small decisions and everyday behaviors. Every big change begins with a small step. Start a new habit today and watch how, over time, you become a better version of yourself. If this discovery inspired you, share it with your friends. And always remember, your small habits are the foundation of your big dreams. Thank you.